evening, Alison. How are you doing? Have you finished your book yet? Just give it a few minutes, see if anyone else is joining us. I'm sure Helen said she'd be around. Can't get in my craft room, looks... Oh. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, Alison? Hi, Lynn. Hope you're doing okay. Hi, Karen. Oh, anyone else cold, or is it just me today? Right, I'm just going to do a quick recap, making sure I've got everything I need here. Oh dear, you can't get to... It's funny you should say that, Alice, about not being able to get to your desk. I think it was last Christmas, it might have been the one before, my two boys clubbed together and bought me a gel plate, some inks and some bits and pieces for it for Christmas between them. And I sat at my craft desk and I was making loads and loads of backgrounds. Now, obviously, if you're using inks, you're using paints, they're a bit wet when you take your paper or your card off your gel plate. So I was literally putting them on the floor behind me in my craft room for them to dry. And then I needed to go to the bathroom, and as I turned round, I realised there wasn't an actual space to put my feet to get through. So yeah, that was interesting. So at least, you know, if you can't get to your desk, that's better than being at your desk and not being able to get away from it. Trying to sort, but oh yeah, sorting boxes that you've not opened yet. You might find something really interesting in those boxes though, Lynn. Hot here in News, 8:30 AM, but it's hot. I am really, really cold. I've got my fluffy woolly socks and my fluffy slippers on, and it is currently, I don't know how to find it on here. Let's have a look. What does the BBC say we're at? Weather. It's saying it's 6 degrees here, but I don't think I agree with that. It's really cold. So, right. So for those of you that have been working along, you'll have your cover. Depending which paper you used, will depend what your cover looks like. And we've got our individual pages, our pockets front and back, and our hinges. Now, before I actually stick the pages in, I'm going to get out of my kit the charm hanger, which I thought I took out earlier, but I put it back away. So with the kit, you had all the, you had the charm hanger, the chain to put your charms on, some ball pins, some paper clips, and all your individual charms. So I'm just going to pop all these in the tray before I lose them. See, as I've already dropped this on the floor twice today, so I may have slightly less than you've got in yours. So at the end of last week's class, we put the hole through the spine to put the charm hanger in. So all I'm going to do with this charm holder, it's like a split pin or a brad. So I'm just going to hold it, fold the legs up, pop the legs through the hole.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
I'm sorry, that was my Alexa telling me she couldn't help me with popping the legs through the hole. Let me just unplug her. So, pop your charm hole hanger in, line it up, turn it over, and then just spread the legs, one each side, like that, and get that as tight as you can. And that will then hold your, let me turn it around, hold that in place like that. Okay. You can't see it. So once we've got this in place, we can then put our charms on like that, and we can attach them to there. Now, I don't mind seeing that there because I may want to take it on or off and do different things to it. If you get to that stage and decide, actually, I don't like it showing, then you will have in your bits and pieces that are left over some more of that, whatever coloured paper you used inside. I would just cut that to size and pop that over the top to cover the brad's legs. Move this out of the way. So now we've got that in, I'm going to work on putting the pages in. Now I always start from the back forward. If it's a big book with, say, more than 7 pages, I'll do 3 from the back, 3 from the front, and then do the middle one. I think everybody has their own choice. People find their own ways of doing things that work for them. Let me just quickly catch up. Lynn might have missed. Why did I make the hinges shorter than that? The reason it's the way it is because I made, on the original one, I made the pages up and didn't decorate it fully. So I'd done the pages at the 8 inches, but then decided I wanted this page on the front, and to have cut it down to the 8 inches, you would have lost the majority of the wreath. So I just made the covers bigger to basically so I could have the whole of that on the front of the book. Yeah, no design feature, no, it was just because that was the paper I wanted for the front of the book, and I'd already done the papers at 8 inches. In hindsight, I could have done the papers larger. However, if you do your pages larger than 8 inches, it means you have to use you can't use A4 cardstock. You've got to use 12 by 12 cardstock, and you do end up wasting an awful lot of the 12 by 12. So if you have a lot of 12 by 12, you can make the pages bigger, or if you didn't need that page on the front, you didn't have a big picture to put on the front, you could make the pages smaller. It was just, like I say, that was how I did it for the first one, and quite liked it. So I'm going to flip, make sure you've got your pages in the order that you want them. That's turn round. Yep. So yeah, make sure your pages are in the right order. And then don't forget, with these hinges, it's got your score at the bottom there, and it's got a score line 1/2 inch in. To help the book lay flat, we're only going to attach it to this 1/2 inch section here. So just fold that over and just put your glue on this 1/2 inch. And then if you open up your page, so it, as you know, it will be open, straight through, and then just line your page up, and then just, I don't know if you can see that very well, just put your page up to the score line, and it does give that extra room to be able for your pages to lie flat. Oh, Nikki, 3rd time getting, yeah, I think, I know around here some of our schools are finished, so all the kids are online later on in the night because they're not going to bed as early. So we've noticed a bit of an issue with Facebook. So Renee, makes for good scrap. It does make for good scraps later on, but I don't know about you, I've got more scraps than I know what to do with. And scraps of black card, I don't know if I've got any, like this, are great for if you're doing any other crafting and you can die cut letters out of them. But I did, I'll be honest, I had a clear out a couple of weeks ago, and I had a carrier bag full of black, white, craft and chocolate brown cardstock, and I packed a carrier bag jam-packed full with it all, and some of the offcuts of different coloured card, but mainly those 3, and took it to a local nursery. And they were absolutely thrilled with it. The kids were just cutting it up, sticking it down. They had an absolute ball with it. So I didn't feel too bad, but I try to keep the scraps to the minimum because I like to be frugal, or as my dad calls it, I'm tight. So again, we're going to pop the glue on here. And sometimes I find that it's not that easy to get 12 by 12 cardstock. A4 is a lot more accessible. So again, just find the gap in your page, line it up top and bottom, and just up to the crease. And stick that down. And you'll notice I have been a good girl and decorated most of it apart from the photo mats. I've also used some of the ephemera, and some of the laser cuts on. These are the poinsettia. It's called Pet Tape, P-E-T. No idea what it stands for, but it's really good quality stickers with a clear background that will go over anything. So that's on red, but if you do it on white, that's how this particular one comes up. So it actually takes on the colour that you're putting it onto, and they are really good quality ones. First time I've used this particular Pet Tape from Arden. Very, very impressed with it. So put our page in. Let's get to the next one. And again, we're just putting glue up to the score line. Like this. Find your gap in your page. Make sure you've got the right one. Yep. And then again, just feed that over. Line it up and push it down. Did we get a roll of that? No, I think you got 2 or 3 lengths of it, because it's the same on the Pet Tape. It was the same. Yeah, so that's one length of it, and that just repeats along the roll. I don't know if that shows up well on screen, but that just repeats on the roll, and I didn't think you'd want 100 poinsettias. Speaking from experience, I can't keep 1 poinsettia alive, so 100's no chance. Is everybody decorated and ready for Christmas? So again, just pop your glue up to your score line. Like this. And pop that over. Oops. Line it up. And then just flip it over and squish it from the other side. If you've got a straight uninterrupted section, you can actually run along it with your bone folder. However, because that's a stacked pocket, you'd have to only rub it one direction, and make sure you don't go over your bits that you've stuck on. -1, no, that's far too cold. Yes, I loved it. I think I should have been born in a hot country. So again, we're gonna pop some glue up to, but not over, the score line. Make sure I've got the right section, and then just pop that over the top. I'm going to flip it that way because I've got more room, and then line it up to, but not over, that score line. And again, just going to push that down so you get a good adhesion to the page. Okay, so I'm just going to move that out of the way a little bit. I love sticking the pages in, yes. I always feel that's an achievement because it means that it's worked. Where did I get that bone folder from? That's a really good question, and when I remember, I'll let you know. Yeah, I've got a selection of bone folders of various shapes and sizes. That's the one that I've got to hand at the moment. So, looking on the inside of the book now, we've got on our 2 pull-out photo mats. I'm just going to move this out of the way. On the original, we've got 2 little charms that go on the top of here. Now, if you've got I use a Big Bite, which is a big chunky monkey, or you may have one of the crocodiles, which you get your different hole sizes on. So on this one, I think it's a 1/8, or I think it's an 1/8 or a 6, no, an 1/8 or a 1/4 of an inch holes on that. And it's the same with the Big Bite. So if I put it on here, you've either got your big hole punch. So if you see there, that's quite a big hole punch. And if I move that along, it's a littler, a narrower hole punch even. So what I'm going to do, these are going to the left, so I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to punch a hole just in the corner. Now what you can do is, if you get your pencil and a ruler, decide where you want your hole going, and put a little pencil mark, and then that's the middle. If you make a small cross on your paper, you line that up underneath where it's going to punch out. So just line it up like that, and then punch it down, and you've got your hole in your corner there. And then I'm going to do the other one by eye. And that's the holes in there. Now, if you had a kit within all your bits and pieces, what you have to do now is decide, there they are, which charm you want to use. So you've got 4 bulb pins, which are just like a safety pin, but it's got a bulb on the end of it. So when you decide which charm you want on, I'm going to use a snowflake for this one. Just undo it like you would a safety pin. Pop your charm through it and then just pop the safety pin through the hole. And fold it back up again. And I've got my charm on back to front. You will find that some charms will hang better one way than the other. It is a little bit of trial and error, that's better. There. So you've got your snowflake hanging down like that. On the other one, I'm going to put another snowflake, so let's use the stocking. So again, it just opens like a regular safety pin. It just clips inside, and again, I'm just gonna pop that onto the safety pin, and then that will drop down, and you've then got your snowflake and your stocking hanging down and dangling from the pocket. So just move these out of the way a minute. So once you've done that, they can go back inside, inside your pocket, and then that will just hang down like that. And the same with the snowflake one, which I've managed to tangle up. So again, that goes in and they hang down like that. So you've got your charms on the end of the photo mats. Also in your kit, there were some red gems of different sizes and some clear gems of different sizes. Now, if you find anywhere where there is a hollyberry like that, if you put 3 of the larger gems together on there, they look like your hollyberries, but they do give a bit of 3-dimension. Again, you can just dot them around with both the red and the clear gems. You don't need me to tell you how to put gems on your kit. The other thing I did was using glossy accents just over the hollyberries, which gives it a slightly different look as well. Now, if I move this over, we've got another 2. Actually, I didn't finish that off. What I was going to do, because my paper wasn't quite long enough, but I really wanted it there, there it is, just get a piece of paper, punch, which I'm going to use a different one, a border, this is an EK Success punch that I've had for years, and I think we do forget to use our punches. A lot of crafters, if you're like me, is you'll get your punch and you'll use it and use it and use it, and then you'll get something different like a die cutter, and you'll put that away. You'll put your punch away to use your die cutter, and then you'll get some new dies, and them dies will get put away so you can use your new dies, and we forget to go back to our old tools that we've had previously, which is a shame because there are some lovely punches out there. I'm just gonna measure, take that out. I might need to trim it down. So I think it is good to go back and use different products that you've not perhaps used for a while. So this paper is 3 3/8. So 3 3/8. Get your glue and just whisk that up and down, and then you can just, so if I line it up, it's a smidge too long. I should really put that back on my trimmer, but I've got glue on the back. So you can just line it up like that, and it gives you a different edge. And same with that one. So again, just pop that on. So if you don't need to use whole sheets of your paper, you can just piece it like that. Make sure you line it up. So again, that's just something a little bit different. Right, so for our photo mats again, I need to choose what paper I'm going to use on there, which I had somewhere. It's that one. Or if that's wide enough. Again, just line it up. I tend to start in the middle because I've tried lining it up against them. I can never get it to work. So I just start and eyeball it for the middle. There we go. So for these two, I'm just going to do it that way. So if I pop that on there, it's not a full scallop, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. Try and centre it. So you've got roughly the same amount top and bottom. So if I'm doing it that way, I will use tape. That actually makes it a little bit easier. And then I'll just cut it off. If you can get the backing off your tape. So just line it up. My head in the way. There we go. Pull the tape and then flip it over and just trim it down on both sides. Okay, then the same for the next one. There we go. Line it up. Like that. Pull your tape out from underneath, and if you flip it over and just trim that down. My gumpy scissors. Okay, so then you've got your next lot of photo maps that are going to slide in there. Now with that one, we've got the scalloped edges on the pocket and the scalloped edge on the photo map. So again, with these, we've got our 2 ball pins, and I'm just going to punch a hole with the thinner of the 2 hole punches. Now, because this one's got a scallop on, I'm going to do it so the hole is attempt in the middle of that scallop rather than it being too close. So again, I just line it up, push the handle down so I can see where it's going to go, and pop it down so it's just in the middle of that scallop. And I do the same on, I'll attempt to do the same on the next one. So there we go, and that's that one done. So again, choices. I'm going to use a snowman and one of the trees. So again, we're just going to open the ball pin, pop the charm on, pop the pin through and close it up again. They always remind me of nappy pins, these, for some reason. For those youngsters that remember proper fabric nappies rather than the ones that you throw away. So there's the tree, and then this one's going to have the snowman on. Again, open your safety pin through the snowman, through the hole, and seal it up again. So those are putting your charms onto your ball pins and putting them into the pocket. So you've got your, you can do whichever charms you want in whichever order, and just slide that back into there. Now you do have quite a few, I think from memory there were about 15 charms within the kits. So some of them we put on a very technical safety pin. So to do that, pick your charm and you literally just thread it, bend your paper clip a little bit, thread it through and pop it back. And that then can just go on top of your pages. So let me see, I'll do another, no, I've done a snowflake. Gonna do the funky reindeer, which did take me a while to work out what he actually was. So again, just open your paper clip, thread it on, and your reindeer sits at the bottom, or you can spin him round and he can go either way. So I think we had 4 of those. Do some others in a minute. So get on to making the charm to hang on there. Get my scissors and it was quite a length of charm, and from memory, let's get the other book out. On the original, we had our 2 fabric, and then I cut the charm into 2 lengths. So you had one length with 4 charms on that one, and then another length with 3 charms on. And I've managed to pull that one off. The fabric ones, you just literally pass it through, make a hole and pull it tight. So when you're attaching charms, they weren't quite the same size, same length. So I'm just going to do it like that. And I've got, it's quite an old, I don't know if anybody remembers this, the Zutter Bind It All. I actually got one of their kits, their tool kits, but you can use any little snips. I find these quite easy to use, she says, and it's not going to work now. This is because the weather's turned. Let me try it with scissors, which is the one. There you go. So I want 1 jump ring, not quite in the middle, maybe off to one side, so you've got like 1/3 and 2/3. Now if you're opening the jump rings, I would use 2 pair of pliers. So I would put one on one side of the hole and one on the other, and instead of opening it out like that, do it so that instead of opening out, because it's very difficult to get it back together, if you twist them back to front, it's easier to then pop them back, and so they join up. So if you hold it on one side, use your other pliers and then just twist it, one to the front and one to the back. Decide whereabouts you want it on your chain. thread it on, and then get your tools and just twist that back so it now meets, and it's still a full circle. Okay, just hold that so you can see it. Ooh. So it's still a full circle. If you're not sure if it's completely flat, what you can do is lay it down and just use a flat object so it's all together. So that's one. Then what you need to do is decide on your next charm, get your next jump ring, and do exactly the same. It is really fiddly, but it is worth it. So again, you're going to do that. You're going to open your jump ring, one to the front, one to the back. We're going to hang our charm on, and this one I'm going to have on the bottom, or from the bottom of the length of chain, and again just twist them back together so they make a full circle. Now also in the kit is this big dangly. Now I actually hung that direct from the jump ring just because it was, I tried hanging it from the chain, but because it is so long, it didn't quite go. So I'm going to, now this one actually has a bit like a key ring holder where you can, if you put your nail between the two, it will open it up like that. And if you do that, you can just turn it round. Let's stand this up. So you can literally, if you open it up, hold your charm hanger. Helen, I don't know if you'll be able to do this with your false nails, and literally just slot it on like that, and it will just turn round and hang down like that. If you want to do it on your chain, just be careful how long it was, which is why I went back to putting it up there. So we've got one charm on there, and choices. What else have we got? I know. So in the kit you'll have this little, it looks like a little flower with a hole in. You will also have quite a long, it's like a pin, but it's got no sharp end on it, but it's got a head at that end. So if you put it so that the bulb goes up the middle of the flower, that means that the flower can't drop off, it's just there. Now when you're doing this, I find it easier if you bend this at 90 degrees to start with, and then I use round, I think they're called round nose pliers. They are actually designed, when they're closed, it makes a circle. So I put them upside down and hold it just to the right of where the right angle is. And then while you're holding that, she says, you just literally turning that round to make a circle. And then when you've done that, get your snips and cut the end off, and then you can just literally tidy it up. If it's a little bit wonky, which is that is not a complete circle, you can just tidy it up with your snips and just spinning round now. So you then get a loop at the top. You can then get a jump ring, and again make sure you get your split at the top. So split at the top, one backwards, one forwards, and then we're going to loop the flower on and then loop onto the end, the last one on the chain. And then that gives you your flower dangle on there. So if that goes on there, I'm going to put another one about halfway down between where it's going to join onto the charm hanger and about halfway down. So again, I'm going to choose the mittens and another jump ring. I found by putting them in these trays, I'm not losing them all over the floor. Oh, lots of chat going on. Can't keep up. Do I have any glass dangles left? Yes. Not sure how many I've got. I'll have a quick look, but I definitely got at least 2. I will have a look and pop you a message later, Alison. Other videos in the Facebook group. Right, obviously, Renee, Helen's been answering you. I will catch up later and drop you a message. Needle nose pliers. Yes, that's the other name for them. To me, the round nose pliers, because the pliers and the round. So it makes much more sense. So again, we're going to get our jump ring, twist it front to back, slot our charm on, decide where it's going, pop it on there, and twist it back. There we go. And then just because it's not quite straight, it does meet up, but it's a little bit out of line. So I'm just going to use my pliers and squidge it together flat. Okay, so that's one. Within the kit you've got these 2 tassely bits which are really easy. Oh, Nicole, is the bright, I think the bright pink that you bought because there's two different colour pinks, and there is a baby pink and the bright pink. And every time I ask my hubby that I want things in bright pink, he just goes, really? Can you not have blue, green? But no, we like bright pink. So these, you just threading through, making a loop and passing it through. Again, we've got our smaller chain. So we've got more charms to fit on here. I'm going to use this present charm. Again, it is quite repetitive putting these charms on, but once you've got the hang of it and you've not, it does make it easy. It's a lot easier if you've got two pairs of pliers or a pair of pliers and a pair of snips. I have seen people do it with one pair of pliers and then try and twist it with the hand. I personally struggle with that. That could just be because I've got dodgy hands and arthritis, but I don't know. So pop the present on, pop the end of the chain over the top, and then just twist it back and make sure it's flat. So that's one. Big snowflake on the other end. Make sure you get your split at the top. And then just, again, twist it. Pop the chain on. It doesn't really matter if it's the chain first and then the charm. As long as they both go on together, it doesn't matter. And pop that round like that. That one might be a wee bit too long. No, as long as I... Okay. So I'm going to put another charm about halfway down there. And this time I'm going to use Helen, if you've got your kit handy with your charms, I've got a Father Christmas with his arm in the air. And I'm not sure if it's just he's got his hand in mittens, or if he's making a rude sign. I don't know if that's going to show up on screen. I'm going to go with he's got his hand in mittens, just because it's Christmas and I don't want anybody putting rude signs up. So let me have a look, get another of the split pins out. You're in the office. I'm sure if it is a, yeah, you'd let me know if not. So again, we're just gonna hold it on one hand, hold the other one and twist. Forgot where I decided it was going to go now. Pop Father Christmas on. Be he naughty or nice. Depends on what you decide. And again, pop the chain on. Twist it back and line it up. So there. So what I'm going to do, I'll put these on next to last because they are the easiest bits to do. Somewhere in here we've got a larger jump ring. This might be easier to see, although I don't think it will. So again, we're just gonna split it front and back. Pop your chain on. Like that. So you've got your chain looped through the jump ring. Then before you close your jump ring up, thread it through the large ring on your charm holder so that it's drop down. I don't know if this is going to show up. It's really tricky to show this. I need about 6 cameras or 3 cameras and two lots of sets of hands. So it's up like that, and then just twist them back, line it up, so it then just dangles down from there. I'm gonna pop the tassel through the charm hanger, open it up and pull it through. And then this smaller one, again, if you decide that the length you've cut is too long for what you want it, you can just adjust it. I'm going to move that round. So I'm going to just take this jump ring off. So I'm going to undo it again. I'm going to take this jump ring off and adjust it round. So again, I'm going to pick that jump ring up. I'm going to move it along, thread the chain through, pop the charm hanger loop through, and then just twist them back. So you've then got all your dangling, oh, and your black. I tend to do these one on each side. So you're just threading it through, opening the loop, is that not? And pulling it tight. And that's your charm. Now it's up to you. I have seen one where they've used a paper clip with a, what have I got left? Let's use the candy cane. They've popped the candy cane onto the paper clip and then threaded the paper clip through the chain. So it is literally as simple as, she says and can't do it, sliding that through, up to the top, and then just it's stuck, open your paper clip up, and that hangs from the bottom. So you can use that. I think it's great using the paper clips. I don't feel they're as secure as the jump rings, but again, that's personal preference. It is entirely up to you. Now, to stick the Yeah, my Merry Christmas had an accident. I pushed it down the stairs. So, to stick the Merry Christmas on, I've gone with Glossy Accents. The reason being is this is a form of plastic. Not all glues are good for sticking plastic to paper, metal to paper or whatever. So I've gone with this purely because it's a better stick and it's got a clear finish. So when it dries, hopefully not in the lid, it does dry clear. So just let me squidge a bit out. No, I knew it would do this. Mine's got a little bit gunked up, so somewhere on here I have a pin. Yeah. So I tend to, squidge a bit out and make sure that it's flowing freely. Like I said, this has been battered and abused, and then I just put, you don't need to stick every single bit of it down, so I tend to go where the thicker bits are on the lettering, and then near the edges, just to make it secure. And like I say, it doesn't matter too much because it does dry clear. So just pop the glue on. And make sure you get it on all the different bits, and then just on the ends of the very thin pieces. Missed a bit. And then yours will be in one piece when you turn it over. You decide if you want it straight or a bit on a wonky angle, because I'm not very good at doing things straight. And then within the kits, you've also got some 3D printed snowflakes, if I can get the bag open. Yeah, I think there's 5 different designs, she says. Yeah. Yeah, there's 5 different designs and 2 of each snowflake. So on the front, I'm going to use the larger of the red gems. And I'm going to use one of my pokey tools, just because I find it easier to pick them up. So just pop your pokey tool underneath. And stick it on like that. And make sure that you push them down so they do adhere really well. So that's those done. I mean, it depends what paper you've got on the front of your book as to whether you use red gems, snowflakes or clear gems. For these snowflakes, I'm going to actually go with Glossy Accents again, because they are a form of plastic. So I'm going to put a blob, just a blob in the middle. And then drop that down over the top. And just hold it for a minute or 2 until it sticks. And I'm going to put some over here in the darker green so that they show up. Well, I can't grip them now. I'll put one over here. Put one up there. Maybe a small one on here. Oops. Might have been easier using tweezers to pick them up and put them down. So that's just, I've just put some of them on the front. You can also use some of your clear gems if you like. Decorating is the bit that, it's the last bit that you do, but it's the bit that can make a massive difference, and it's also the bit that can take you the longest, if you're like me and you tend to change your mind about where you want things all the time. So that's your book finished. I'm gonna, oops, you've got all your photo mats. These bookmarks, somebody actually messaged me and said, I read quite a lot of books, can I use that as a bookmark in the traditional sense? To which I said, well, yeah, it's entirely up to you. So I'm going to get my paperclip charms, and I think I clipped that one too. Get it the right way round. So just popped that on there. I used another one of the paperclip charms just on the back here. Like that. There was also, like I said, there was more than that. There's more charms left. There's also, oh, the bell. The bell was another to go on the spine. And let me just open these out. So I think I put it on that one. And again, exactly the same thing. You just get your jump ring. You can find the top. Open your split pin. Slide the bell on. Pop the chain on. And then just twist that back. So there you go. So now, decorating to your heart's content. You've got all your laser cuts, you've got your ephemera. I've used the red, green and white twine on the top of the tags and the pockets and things. You've also got your dots, enamel dots for the collection. Haven't put any of those on yet. Just not got round to it. Again, you can pop them where you like. I'd sometimes do them in the corners. Just pop them on where you want them. So you've got black, white, like a moss green, a pinky red, a blue and a turquoisey one that actually matches the colours of the paper really, really well. I've still got lots of die cuts, laser cuts, loads left. I might try and make some clusters to put in. So there's lots of things in there, lots of bits of foliage, little presents. There's a cup of, a cup for your hot chocolate. Laser cut presents. There's 2 of them. There's a couple of different sizes of Father Christmases. There's also your little bookmarks, which are a bit too tiny, but there's plenty of options there. You've got all this that you can make up, maybe put some of your words, pop some of your foliage behind it, and then just make up, pop a banner on. You can put whatever you want on. You deck the halls and just build it up and use that as a bit more of an embellishment. Don't forget you still have your frames from your laser cuts, and they can go, once you've got all your photographs and everything, if you cut your photographs down to size, and just pop your photograph behind that and use that to pop on your book. Something that I've done with another collection that I was working with at weekends. When I say clusters, these are a little bit bigger. I'll move that over the way. This was a 6x4 tag that was left over with another tag, bits of the ephemera, laser cuts, bit more of the ephemera, laid that all up, and that is then ready to go either on a scrapbook page or it might go in a book. That's a smaller one that I did with just, it was a little journaling card. And then it's got a frame on. I just put green paper behind it because I've not got my photograph to go in there yet. Glued this acetate wording on. This is a little tag, and then put the foliage on the top. And again, that could be a card, it could be on a scrapbook page, on a layout, in a book. There's lots of different things you can do with them, and it's using up all the bits that you've got left. A lot of the wordy ones, like the May Your Days Be Merry cookies. I've got photographs of my boys icing cookies at Christmas. So when I find those photographs, that will go onto the photograph. I'm trying to see what else, what the words we've got in here. Home, where I want to be tucked up when it's cold. So there's lots of things that you can do, and I do tend to put a lot of the words on top of the photographs, just as something slightly different. So that's using those up. She says, and she can't pick that up. Quick sneak peek for those of you that are still here. The book that I'm going to start after Christmas, because I'm sure you've all got a lot of things to do. It's going to be a bit interactive. and I was doing some of the pages and realised that without the paper on, it's very difficult to see what's going on. So just as a quick sneak peek, part of it is going to be like that. So when you stick things on the front, let's have a look. They go like that, but then when you close it down, they lie flat inside the page. It's very, very difficult to show you how to do that when you've got all black card. So I've been working on doing it in black and white, so it makes it easier for you to see. But keep an eye out in group, and as soon as I've got it sort of finished, I will pop some photos up and let you know. But like I say, that is going to be in the new year, because I'm sure we all need to have a bit of a breather now. And well, next week's going to be Christmas Eve, so you're all going to be busy. And then the week after that is New Year's Eve, so some of you will be very busy. I mean, a lot of people might be busy next week chopping all the veg up ready for Christmas Day. So next class is going to be the 7th of January, because you don't want to see me on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve when you've got lots of things to do. I will be posting in the group. I've not managed to keep up with all the messages in the chat today because it's very difficult. So I'll pop some messages up in the group, and I will go on and do a walkthrough of the book before we start again in January. Yeah, I'll go through all the messages just to catch up with things that I've missed. Have a wonderful Christmas. I hope you get lots of crafty goodies, and if you don't, ask them for the money, and then you can buy your own crafty goodies. Works just as well. Do I know what papers I'll be using for the next album? I do, Nikki. I am going to be using the Sweet Treat papers that Cal designed, that she didn't have, that she wasn't able to use in a class before she sadly passed. So yeah, we're going to be using them, which is why it's probably taken me a while, because I wanted to get it just right. So yeah, have a wonderful Christmas and New Year, everyone, and I will see you back here in a couple of weeks. And like I say, I'll pop some sneak peeks up in the group. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.